Second World War. There was a bilateral treaty between Nepal and Britain about the mobilization of Nepalese soldiers. The units which took part were Srinath, Kalibox, Suryadal, Naya Gorak, Bardabadur, Kalibadur, Mahindradal, 2nd Rifle, Bairong, Jabbarjung, Samsher Dal, Sher, Devi Dutta, Bhairavnath, Jagannath, and Purano Gorak battalions. Besides, there were many high-ranking Nepalese in the Joint Army HQ. Late Commander-in-Chief Kiran Samsher Rana and late Commander-in-Chief and Field Marshal Nir Samsher Rana were amongst the officers deployed by the Nepalese army. When Japan got involved in this war in December 1940, the British presence was threatened in the Indian subcontinent. Britain developed in troops in India and on the Burma front. Nepalese battle lions Mahendradas, Sher, Kali Bahadur, and Jagannath were also deployed. These Nepalese battalions fought under a light command. The Jagannath battalion took part as engineers to construct track, bridges, water points, etc. Nepalese troops fought with distinction as a part of the 14th Army under Slim and helped force the eventual Japanese retreat. Finally, following the atomic bomb attack on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan surrendered. Most Nepalese troops were withdrawn to Kathmandu in October 1945. A grand victory parade was held on 20th October 1945, where many Nepalese soldiers, officers, and associated British officers were honored for their appreciable performance. Hyderabad attacked 1948. The British left India in 1947. British India was split into India and Pakistan. Religious violence between the Hindu and Muslim communities erupted in many places. Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru requested Nepal to assist in controlling the situation. The Rana rulers took the decision to send Nepalese troops to India after long discussion. The battle lines which took part were Srinath, Kalibox, Kalibahadur, Ganesh Dal, Dal, Naya Gorak, Bardabadur, Devi Dutta, Sher, Bhavani Dal, Bhairavnath, Mahindra Dal, 2nd Rifle, Surya Dal, Narsimha Dal, Purano Gorak, Goraknath, Bhairang, Jabbarjung, and Kali Prasad. The Nepalese army contingent was led by Mas Jain Sharada S.J.B. Rana. These troops were developed in many parts of India like Hyderabad, Ranchi, Kolkata, Dehradun, Ramgarh, etc. Nepalese troops contributed greatly to the stabilization of the situation. At the request of the Indian government, some Nepalese troops also partook in the action in Hyderabad, which was renamed into the Indian Republic. After a successful operation in Hyderabad, Nepalese troops stayed on for 8 more months and finally returned back to Nepal in March 1949. The post-WW second period, with the Rana regime pushed out by democratic forces, the Nepalese army underwent a major overhaul with the assistance of the Indian military mission. This ushered in a new era of professionalization and institutionalization of training. As ever, the NA continued to provide noteworthy assistance to civil authorities responding to various natural calamities and disasters within the country. Internal deployments. Disarmament of the Compass 1974. By the early 70s, some 9,000 Compass Tibetan tribes resisting Chinese authority had crossed over to Nepal and established various high altitude camps which they used as launch pads for operations into the Chinese autonomous region of Tibet. By 1973, these fighters, initially enjoying substantial foreign material and moral support, decide to invest the remote Nepalese district of Mustang as a frame base. After various diplomatic initiatives, Nepal was finally compelled to carry out military operations to disarm the campus. A, a brigade-sized task force left Pokhara on 15th June 1974. The main battle group was based on Srinath Battalion, and the effort included units or elements from Sri Srinath Battalion, Sri Raj Dal Battalion, Battalion, Sri Bhairav Nath Battalion, Sri Kali Prasad Battalion, Sri Ganesh Dal Battalion, Sri First Rifle Battalion, Sri Indra Dhoj Company, Sri Adridaman Company, Sri Chandan Nath Company. The Indrahoj Company served as the vanguard in the long, difficult mountain advance from Pokhara, Naudara, Hill, Hile, Ghudepani, Dana, Ghasa, Hete, Marfa, Jomsom. This is now on the most popular trekking routes in Nepal. The Nepalese Army Aviation Wing played a crucial role conducting extremely hazardous resupply and other missions in a largely uncharactered, rather less high altitude environment. With the army poisoned to strike if necessary, the Khampa commander Wang Di agreed to disarm on 31st July 1974. However, it soon became evident that Wang Di himself intended to escape, resulting in a series of cordon and search operations resulting in the capture of rifles, Biren guns, Stent guns, pistols, 60 mortars, 57 RCL, communication set, all types of ammunition. Wang Di initially managed to slip out through a high altitude mountain pass and moved with his selected party of 50 to 60 towards the western border of Nepal, hundreds of kilometers away. His luck ran out when reporters of their attempt to loot a Nepal police post in Mugu, far west Nepal, focused the search operations. He eventually succumbed to a Nepalese army ambush carried out by an element of Sri Ardidaman Company in high altitudes of Tikarlipu on 15 September 1974, bringing this episode to a victorious conclusion for the Nepalese army. The recent history. The Nepalese army was mobilized by the government in the internal conflict from November 2001 to May 2006 in order to create the conditions for a negotiated settlement. During the campaign, the army operated throughout Nepal from existing barracks and newly established forward operations bases (FOBs). The rugged nature of the terrain resulted in a heavy dependence upon air mobility. Though the infantry units played an important role, the engineers were also involved in disposal of improved explosive devices. The, the signalers played a vital part by ensuring smooth passage of orders and reports. The Ferrant scout car was instrumental in keeping the supply routes open. The artillery troops were given quick conversion training in order to enable them to operate as infantry. Meanwhile, as part of the Army's key striking reserves, Rangers, paratroopers, and special forces carried out effective special operations and quick reaction force actions throughout Nepal. Army aviation played perhaps the most decisive role during the operations and proved an area of constant superiority. Despite an effort involving personnel from all arms and services, the Nepalese army also continued to contribute to the development and well being of the nation beyond its primary roles. It was tasked with building roads in areas deemed insecure for civilian agencies, continue to protect the environment, react to natural calamities, and enhance Nepalese international prestige through peacekeeping activities. In the process, altogether, 1014 all ranks made the ultimate sacrifice, while some 2625 were wounded in action. The personal and institutional experiences gained during operation is reflected in the enhanced professionalism and competence of the army as demonstrated both in Nepal and UN peace support operations worldwide. The year 2018 AD also marks two significant events in the history of the Nepalese army. Firstly, five premier battalions raised during the unification campaign of Nepal completed their 250 glorious years of service in the Nepalese army. All the five battalions were felicitated amid a function held during the Army Day. Secondly, this year also marked the end of a historic phase of the peace process in Nepal, which began with the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement in November 2006. The integration process of the formal marched combatants into the Nepalese army has been completed. Brief history of battalions celebrating 250 years. Srinath Battalion. The Srinath Battalion is the oldest battalion of the Nepalese army. The battalion was raised by late King Prithvi Narayan Saha in Ashwin uh, Sukla Panchami of 1762 AD. This battalion was commanded by King Prithvi Narayan Saha during the unification campaign of Nepal during the Battle of Kathmandu, Prithipur, and Bhadgaon. This battalion was a part of the Nepal Tibet China War 1792 AD, Nepal Tibet War 1855 to 1856 AD, Hyderabad Campaign 1948 AD, World War First and Second. The battalion was also the part of the Khampa operations of 1974 AD. This battalion has also contributed significantly in development works, nature conservation, and disaster relief operations. The battalion is also the winner of Army's professional competition and COAS trophy, formerly known as the King's Banner, in this year 1988, 1989, and 1990 AD, and Birender Trophy for Nature Conservation in the year 1994 and 1995 AD. During its long service, the battalion participated in the United Nations missions in Lebanon, UNIFIL, in 1985 and 1986 AD, former Yugoslavia, UNPROFOR, in 1995 AD, and Congo, MONUC, in 2005 and 2011 AD. Calibox Battalion E. Calibox Battalion was raised as a company in September 1762 AD during the unification campaign of Nepal. Before being transformed as a 2nd Combat Engineer Battalion in 1991, this battalion was an infantry battalion and was deployed at the Recruit Training Center at Vaktapur. Apart from the unification campaign, this battalion fought in the Anglo-Nepal War and was part of the decisive Battle of Sindaligadi of 1767 AD. This battalion was also mobilized in the Nepal Tibet War 1855-1856 AD, Seponi Mutiny 1857 to 1858 AD, World War First and Second. Kalibak's Battalion E has been actively involved in number of development works throughout the country. It has contributed significantly in the construction of Budanilkantha Tokha Road in 1983 AD, Trishuli Somdang Road in 1984 AD, Katari Okhaldunga Road in 1997 AD. Barda Badur Battalion. Badur Battalion was raised as part of the premier companies during the unification campaign of Nepal on 23rd September 1762 AD. During the unification campaign of Nepal, this company fought against East India Company in 1804 and 1805 AD at Bargadi and Suzanpur. During the Nepal-Tibet War, it was deployed in Kerong, Kutagadi, Junga Fort, and Kuti. Due to its gallantry exhibited in this battle, late Prime Minister Janga Bahadur Rana renamed in Bardha Bahadur, the Brave One, from Bardha Bani. The battalion also assisted the British East India Company during the Seponi Mutiny of 1857 AD and also fought in World War First and Second. The battalion is also the winner of Army's professional competition, the COAS Trophy, formerly known as King's Banner, in the year 1967, 1968, and 1969 AD. The battalion has also participated in the UN missions in UNEF Sinai in 1974 AD, UNIFIL in 1978, 1990, and 1994 AD, UNAMSIL 2002 AD, and UNMIH in 2008 AD. Purano Gorakh Battalion. During the unification campaign, inspired by the gallantry and loyalty exhibited during the battles of Nuwakot and Makwanpur by the indigenous Mughal tribe, King Prithvinarayan Saha raised a company of Mughals on 20th February 1763 AD and named it the Gorakh Company. During the Anglo-Nepal War, this unit fought numerous battles, namely the Battle of Sinduligadi, Nalapani, Jaithak, and Diuthal. Captain Bir Balbhadra Kumar was the officer in command of this unit during the Battle of Nalapani. After the war, British troops made a monument to pay tribute to the courage and bravery shown by their adversary, the Gorkhali troops, during the Battle of Nalapani. Later in 1952, this company was renamed Purano Gorakh Battalions, keeping to its tradition. This battalion till today only recruits the Mughal tribe. The battalion also played an important role in neutralizing the Sepoy Mutiny 1857 to 1858 AD and Hyderabad action of 1948 AD in India. This battalions has also participated in both the world wars. The battalions is also the winner of Army's professional competition, the COAS Trophy, formerly known as King's Banner, in the year 2000 AD. In 2007 AD, this battalion was awarded the Abraham Conservation Award for its contribution in nature conservation. In the history of Nepalese army, Purano Gorakh Battalion is the first battalion to participate in United Nations peacekeeping mission UNEF second on 1973 AD. Till date, the battalion has served in UNIFIL in 1989, 1993, and 1998 AD, and MONUC in 2003 and 2009 AD. Sabu's battalion. Sabu's company was raised during the unification campaign of Nepal by late King Prithviraj Shah in 1762 AD. It was later formed into a battalion into 1982 AD. This unit has fought numerous battles during the unification campaign of Nepal. This unit played a key role to defeat the British during the Battle of Buthol in Jidgadi. The casualties on the British side was so sharp during this battle that the British never attacked this position again throughout the Anglo-Nepal War. This battalion also participated in the Nepal-Tibet War 1788 to 1792 AD, Nepal-Tibet-China War of 1798 AD, the Spore Mutiny 1857 to 1858 AD, and both the World Wars. This battalion has also participated in the UN missions in UNIFIL, Lebanon in 1987, 1993, and 1996 AD. MINUSTAH, Haiti in 2005 AD, and MONUC, Congo in 2010 AD. Integration process, concept of reality. At the core of comprehensive peace agreements CPA signed between the government of Nepal and Nepal Communist Party in November 2006 was the requirement to monitor, integrate, and rehabilitate the Maoist ex-combats, which the United Nations missions in Nepal UNMIN was mandated to monitor these ex-combatants. It was efficient that these personnel would be integrated into the various security agencies. Of the 32,250 personnel in the newly established Maoist can cantonments, UNMIN verified only 19,602 and ex-combatants. Over 4,000 were discharged and disqualified for being underage or having joined after the CPA had been signed. The 500,000 to 800,000 depending on their rank within the Maoist organization. The Nepalese army was committed to the peace process, and this was evident from the fact that it relaxed many standard norms of recruitment by giving the ex-combatants generous waivers in recruitment age, material status, and educational qualification. A total of 116 official level and 1,600 non-official level combatants volunteered for integration into Nepalese army. On the recommendations of the special committee, the government of Nepal forged a political consensus to hand over 1,444 ex-combatants to the Nepalese army for military training for subsequent integration. 22 ex-combats could not complete the training, 1,350 to complete the recurrent basic training, and 70 officer candidates underwent training at the military academy. As mandated by the government, the direct Directorate General of National Development and Security was established, encompassing the three uh, directorates responsible for Nepal development, disaster management and forest, and environment conservation. The newly integrated and trained personnel were assigned within this Directorate General along with other regular personnel of the Nepalese army. The integration process was seen by many as the biggest challenge to the peace process in Nepal. However, the Nepalese army unique modality for the integration has been very successful and has brought the peace process to a conclusion that was acceptable to all stakeholders. The army, through its visionary leadership, was once again able to help steer the country towards the path of peace and stability. Transforming the Nepalese army. In order to modernize and enhance its military capabilities, Army leadership in 2012 decided to take an initiative to formulate a long term plan. Accordingly, General Gaurav Samser Jang Bahadur Rana, after assuming the command of the Chief of Army Staff in September 2012, issued the command guidance to a principal staff officer PSOs and senior commanders of the Nepalese army. The guidance clearly states the six strategic goals and 28 defined tasks that needs to be accomplished within the stipulated timelines with meticulous planning. The six strategic goals are: modernize the Nepalese army to make it more flexible, responsive, and adaptive so that it is capable of fulfilling the missions assigned to it. Provide effective and efficient administrative and logistics support system for all types of operations and trainings. Generate and maintain a agile and versatile force having highly motivated, professional, and disciplined soldiers and officers of high moral characters, behavior, values, and competencies. Holistically review the Nepalese army existing welfare policies and formulate a comprehensive welfare plan and which was mm, program which are economically viable and sustainable. Augment the Nepalese Army's self-reliance capabilities by enhancing and supporting indigenous technology and defense production. Improve the Nepalese Army international contribution and enhance military to military cooperation with friendly foreign countries through military diplomacy. After finalizing and consolidating all the action plans that have been proposed by the concerned departments for short, mid, and long term, a comprehensive plan with clear timelines based on Nepal government's policy and program has been evolved. This is now known as the Nepalese Army 10 years prospective plans. Priorities of these prospective plans are as follows. Based on the following priority, funding will be disbursed during the execution of the plan. Improvement of internal administrative system, accommodation and physical infrastructures, enhancement of operational capabilities, enhancement of training capability, development on information technology and communication equipment, enhancement of air and ground mobility and repair and maintenance service, production of military hardware, health and education service. For the purpose of successful and smooth implementation, the whole action plan is divided into two parts. The first part consists of 19 tasks that do not require huge spending and can be accomplished by Nepalese Army regular annual budget. The second part consists of remaining 14 tasks, and to execute these programs require huge expenditure and government's approval is essential. This prospective plan will be extensively deliberated at the ministry level of the final coordination and approval by the government. Thereafter, this plan will be implemented in phases. Training in the Nepalese army. The glorious history of the Nepalese army sets a standard for professionalism of which this institution stands proud. Such professionalism stems from sound training. The Nepalese army has always emphasized and provided professional training to its soldiers and officers alike to develop leadership, unit cohesiveness to better prepare Nepalese army to meet the uncertainties of the future. Based on the Chief of Army Staff's vision, the glorious history that the Nepalese army enjoys in the world today stands on the foundation of its unwavering sense of duty, selfless service, and sacrifice. The primary requirement at present is to develop those enduring values to enhance our professionalism, and the Director General of Military Training vision to standardize and modernize training to develop agile, flexible, and adaptive leaders and organization to meet the challenges of the future. The, direct, the Directorate General of Military Training mission is to educate and train soldiers and develop doctrines to produce professional unit capable of successfully performing missions at home and abroad. Hence, the Directorate is responsible for planning, conducting, evaluating, and developing a coherent training policy in Nepalese Army in coordination with other departments and directorates to enhance the professionalism of Nepalese Army. Major tasks of DGMT are: plan, prepare, standardize, monitor, supervise, and evaluate training conducted in the Army. Develop, test, evaluate, validate training syllabus, methodology, and doctrine. Publish manuals and training instructions. Conduct trainings, research, and analyze. Evaluating training efficiency and effectiveness of units. Supervise and monitor joint exercise. Supervise the conduct of training at all training institutions. Supervise and conduct sports competition and activities in the Army, and produce soldiers to compete in national and international events. Plans for the training in exchanges at foreign training instructions. Today, the Nepalese Army has many specialized Army level academics and training schools under the Directorate General of Military Training DGMT in order to develop specialist skills that are required as men and women in uniform progress through various levels of phases in their military career. Some of the main training establishments of the Nepalese Army are as listed below. The NA Command and Staff College, Shivapuri, the NA Infantry School, Nagarkot, the Nepalese Military Academy, Kharipati, the NA Recruit Training Center, Trishuli, the NA Jungle Welfare School, Amlengjung, the NA High Altitude School, Mountain Welfare, Mustang, the NA Intelligence School, Kharipati, the NA Logistics School, Chhauni, Birendra Peace Operations Training Center, Panchkal, the NA Para Training School, Maharajganj. Specific to Arm and Service School conducting supporting arms courses. Integrated Army Training Center, Saljhandi. Divisional Training Centers, Army Physical Training and Sports Center. Apart from the above mentioned training establishments, all units and formations starting from independent companies up to division provide the personnel with professional training on a daily basis. All units and subunits in the Nepalese army also undergo mandatory collective training cycles that last a couple of months every year. The Nepalese army has a policy that requires each rank from a private to the general to undergo certain trainings for promotions to the next higher rank. Apart from these mandatory trainings, there are various other specialized training that any Nepalese army personnel also go through. Nepalese army military personnel receive individual and collective trainings on a regular basis both in country and abroad. To this end, military personnel who obtain distinguished results in training and courses in Nepal are nominated for participation in training and courses in friendly foreign countries. Such international training exchanges enhances our capabilities and keeps us abreast with new training regimes. Nepalese military personnel attending courses abroad and military students from friendly foreign countries attending various courses in Nepal has provided an excellent platform to exchange experiences and share professional knowledge. The Nepalese army has been conducting joint exercise with friendly countries. While such events are organized to enhance the interoperability between the troops, they also help to increase professional competence and strengthen the military and diplomatic ties. In addition to the courses mentioned above, the Nepalese army also been providing mountain welfare course to international military students since 1990. The course, which was named as Mountain Adventure Training earlier, was converted to Mountain Welfare Course by upgrading the curriculum. A total of 221 participants from 17 different countries so far have undergone this course. Argentina, Australia, Bangladesh, Britain, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Myanmar, Pakistan, Sweden, South Korea, Sri Lanka, and USA. Major training events conducted in 2013. X Shanti Prayas Second. Shanti Prayas Second, a mega training event, was held in partnership with US Pacific Command and Global Peace Operation Initiative GPOI. The 2 week long international peacekeeping exercise saw the participation of around 875 soldiers from 23 different countries. This multinational exercise was the latest in the continuing series of exercises in the Asia Pacific region designed to promote regional peace and security and enhance the peacekeeping capabilities and capacity of nations participating in the UNPKO. The training included staff training seminar, 21 participants, staff training exercise, total of 78 officers from 23 countries, and field training exercise, total of 11 platoons from 11 countries. Fourth Nepal India Company level joint training Surya Kiran. Fourth, the Counter-Insurgency and Jungle Welfare School conducted the 4th Nepal-India Company level joint training comprising a company each from both the armies from 3 to 16th December 2012. In Indo-Nepal Battalion level joint training Surya Kiran 5. A battalion level Indo-Nepal joint training was conducted at Pitharag Pitharuragarh of India from 23rd September to 6th October 2013. A total of 383 troops participated in the exercise. Gorakh Bahadur Singh and Rana Sher Battalion had 92 personnel, each while the headquarters element comprised of 107 personnel, including the commanding officer from Sabuz Battalion. Mountain Welfare Adventure Training. Female officers. For the first time since its establishment, the High Altitude and Mountain Welfare School, who earlier imparted training to only male personnel, has now started training female officers as well. The serial number on female officers mountain welfare training comprised 6 officers that started from 6th August 2013 and ended on 16th September 2013. High Command Course at CC. As per the guidance of COAS, all the groundworks and curriculum preparation has commended with the aim of starting the HCC course in near future. Mountain Welfare Training. The nomination of the Mountain Welfare Training previously was as part the vaccines given by the Directorate General of Military Training DGMT. This selection policy distributed only one quota per battalion, which did not meet the requirement of the battalions. Keeping this in mind, the Nepalese army has now changed its policy and now distributes one X section goes to each battalion and platoon strength quota to each division. Collective training to enhance military knowledge, individual skills, functions, and cohesive unit capable to execute and given tasks and overall the development professionalism reflecting the tradition, discipline, core values, the syllabus of the collecting trainings has been reviewed. To achieve the objectives, collective trainings, directives, and collective trainings booklets have been distributed. A mobile training team from the Mahabir Battalion, that is Ranger, has also been dispatched to all units to conduct collective training instructor refresher course. Leadership training TOT with a view to make the army more professional, disciplined, political, modern, and cohesive. Two phases of the TOT training have been completed. In line with the COS directive, the TOT also develops leadership quality and helps to develop the concept of train as a unit. Integration. The formal moist combatants integration basics trainings for the officers and the other ranks has completed. A total of 1,422 integrated other ranks underwent the basic training in 9 different training centers. The privates have already joined their respective units. Similarly, the JCOs and the NCOs also have completed bridging training and joined their units. Likewise, 70 officers are also undergoing the bridging training at the Nepalese Military Academy. Computer based training. Simulators and new software have been developed for various training. Lecturate last Thursday of every month, scholars are invited to the Nepali auditorium to speak on multiple issues. HQ staff and officers stand in the Kathmandu Valley, attend these sessions. These interactions help the officer to get a clear perspective, widen their horizons, and brainstorming directives. Command and Staff College Entrance Exam Directive 2070, Higher Command Selection Directive 2070, National Defense Course, National War College, Royal College of Defense Studies, National Security and War Course, Army War College Course, Defense and Strategic Studies Directive 2070 have been implemented. Mountain Adventure Training. Joint Nepal Indo-Everest Expeditions and Clean Everest Campaign 2013. The joint Nepal-India Everest expedition took place from the 9th of April to 10th of June 2013. The joint team successfully ascended the highest peak on May 19 and 20. This expedition also disposed over 4,000 kg of garbage from the region. The expedition 23 personnel, 11 from Nepalese army and 12 from Indian army, successfully summited the peak. The Indo-Nepal Joint Everest expedition was organized to mark the Golden Jubilee of the first ascent of Mt. Everest. The expedition marked a successful chapter in the bilateral cooperation between the army. To mark all the praised successful joint effort of the two armies, a remarkable facilitation program was held. Along with the army personnel, various other renowned climbers were also facilitated on the occasion. The Everest Marathon. The Everest Marathon was organized on May 29th as part of expedition to celebrate the Diamond Jubilee of the first ascent of highest landmark. The marathon runners from the expedition team took part in the high altitude race, and his Tirtha Tamang secured the third place in the 42.195 men's marathon, while the Indian Army Vishnu Bahadur Rana won the foreign category, with Indian Army Mahavir Singh secured the third place. Meanwhile, the NA runners clean swept to 60-kilometer ultra race with all three top positions. Empty non expedition, the Indo Nepal joint mountaineering expedition su- successfully ascended the Non Mount Non on October 5 and 7, 2012 in India. The mountain located on the Zanskar mountain range, Jammu and Kashmir in 7,135 meters above sea level. This joint venture was a continuation of its ascents of Mount Everest in 2001 and 2003 and Mount Shesher Kengri in 2004. तेरा यो military diplomacy. Preeminence in Nepalese army. Nepalese foreign policy stands on the principles of the United Nations Charter, non-alignment, five principles of coexistence, international laws, and the norms of world peace. It is guided by the objectives of enhancing the dignity of the nation in the international arena by maintaining sovereignty, integrity, and independence of the country. Diplomacy is inseparably committed with the maintenance of peace and security as well as promoting national interests. Military diplomacy in Nepal in developed and implemented in close coordination with the military of foreign affairs and the military of defense to ensure coherence and focus across government. Military diplomacy subsumes several defense activities in the Nepalese army. A majority of these activities include international personnel exchanges, high-level engagements, bilateral meetings, and staff talks, joint training and exercise, defense seminars, and so on. The Chief of Army Staff General Gaurav S. J. V. Rana in his directives has emphasized on the enhancement of the image of Nepalese army in the international area through effective military diplomacy. To this end, General Rana had undertaken a number of high-level officials visits to friendly foreign countries after taking office. After taking office and has invited high-level dignitaries and officials from various militaries around the world. There have also been a significant number of exchanges of visit and trainings exercise with military of various countries in the past years. Nepalese, Nepalese Army mounting military diplomacy drive after 2012. Nepalese army have been embarking upon various military diplomacy missions with various countries across the globe. There have been active engagement with the armies of various friendly foreign countries such as India, China, United States of America, United Kingdom, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Australia, France, and New Zealand. Sri Lanka and Maldives, to name a few. COA's visit to India, Chief of Army Staff General Gaurav S. Virana was on an official visit of Republic of India upon the official investigation from his court-pass General Vikram Saha in January 2003. During the visit, General Rana was also conferred with the rank of Honorary General of the India Army by the President of India as part of the tradition between two countries in an investiture ceremony held at a presidential palace in New Delhi, India. The, the Chief of Army Staff again visited in India in September 2013 upon the official invitation by his Indian counterpart to inspect the joint battalion's level exercise ex Surya Kiran V joint conducted by both the armies in the hills of bordering town of Pithograph, India. COAS visit to UK. Chief of Army Staff General Gaurav S. Virana visited the United Kingdom September 2013 upon the official invitation from the British counterpart Chief of General Staff General Sir Peter Walk. The visit was conducted from 6th September to 11th September 2013. COAS visit to China. Chief of Army Staff General Gaurav S. Virana undertook an official visit to People's Republic of China upon the official invitation from the Chinese counterpart of Chief of General Staff General Flag Fenghui in the month of July 2013. The visit was conducted from 19th July to 20th July 2013. 15th Annual Asia Pacific Chief of Defense Conference. The 15th Annual Asia Pacific Chiefs of Defense Conference was jointly organized by the US Pacific Command and the Australian Armed Force in November 2012. The conference was held in Sydney, Australia from the 5th to the 8th November 2012 in Sydney. The conference was attended by heads of militaries from 27 countries from across the Asia Pacific. COAS visit to Maldives. Chief of Army Staff General Gaurav S. Virana was on the first official visit of Maldives upon the formal invitation from the Maldives National Defense Force Chief of Defense Force Mohsen Ahemshiam NDC PSC in January 2014. General Rana visited Maldives from 29th January till 31st January 2014. CAS visit to Sri Lanka. Chief of Army Staff General Gaurav S. Virana undertook a 6-day visit to Sri Lanka at the official invitation of his Sri Lankan counterpart Commander of the Army LT Jain, RMD Ratnaik WW RWP RSP USP NDC PSC from 1st February till 6th February 2014. This was also the first formal visit of Nepalese COAS to Sri Lanka. The Nepalese Army Nature Conservation. The geography of Nepal can be divided into mountains, hills, and plains. A wide variety of range of the Earth's topography, climate, zones, and ecosystem from subtropical jungles of the Tarai to the Arctic condition of Himalayan highlands and found within 1 lakh 47,181 square kilometers. Through small area, Nepal, as a result of favorable geographical conditions, is blessed with an incredibly diverse flora and fauna. Today, forests occupy 25.4% of the land area of Nepal. The history of Nepal Army involvement in nature conservation dates back to 1813 AD. During the reign of King Surendra Bikram Shah, the Nepalese army was tasked to preserve the Nagarjun forest to the west of Kathmandu Valley through a royal proclamation. The proclamation is engraved on a rock and stands to the to this day at Indanda on the hill of Law in Nagarjun, which is part of Sivapuri Nagarjun National Park. This perhaps makes the Nepalese Army one of the pioneering institutions in the field of nature conservation. A new saga in nature conservation in Nepal commenced in 1953 when King Mahendra declared the area to the north of Rapti and south of the Mahabharat range in Chitwan as a conservation area named Mahendra Mirga In 1963, the area to the south of the Rapti and north of the Chure Hill was demarcated and rhino sanctuary. With the eradication of malaria from the Tarai Plains in early 1960s, Nepal saw large scale of migration of hill people to fertile Tarai plains, clearing the forests and agricultural fields. The loss of habitats brought a drastic reduction in animal count. The rhino count in Chitwan, which was believed to be more than 1,000 in the 1950s, dropped down to less than 100 in 1972. In 1973, alarmed by this drastic fall in the rhino count, the government of Nepal declared the area between the river Rapti and river Rehu, an area of some 544 square kilometers at Chitwan National Park, a 125% strong armed body called the Goida Gasti, consisting of ex-servicemen, was formed and tasked to protect Chitwan National Park. A park management plan was formulated and implemented in 1975. As per this plan, the Nepalese army was tasked with protecting the Chitwan National Park in 1975. Department of National Park was established within the Nepalese Army headquarters in the same year. This, this office was placed under the office of the Chief of Staff of 16th December 1994 and renamed as Directorate of National Parks and Wildlife Preservation and 14th April 1998. In 1997, the government extended the boundaries of the Chitwan National Park to its present area of 923 square kilometers, and the Nepalese army commitment in the park was extended to 1 battalion. Since the Nepalese took up protection responsibilities, the rhino count in Chitwan showed a steady increase to a count of 544 rhinos in 2000. However, after the deployment of Nepalese army in a counterinsurgency campaign that diverted the army resources away from the national park, the rhino count fell 372 rhinos in 2005 and tigers from 150 to 98 in 1995. With the peace agreement of 2006, the Nepalese army was able to reprioritize its commitment to the protection duties, and as a result, the rhino count went up to 408 rhinos and 208 in 2008 and 503 rhinos in 2011. Similarly, the tiger count went up from 121 in 2008 to 176 in 2012. Nepal has 10 national parks, 3 wildlife reserves, 6 conservation areas, and 1 hunting reserve covering 3,41,058.62 kilometers square, or approximately 23.23% of the total area of Nepal. Of this, the Nepalese army is deployed in 9 national parks, 3 wildlife reserves, and 11 buffer zones. Currently, 7,625 personnel from 7 battalions and 7 companies are deployed in over 138 posts for the protection of these protected areas. A detailed description of such deployment is displayed below. Responsibilities of the Nepalese Army in nature conservation.
नेसनल पार्कहरू त पढ्नु पर्दैन पढ्नुपर्छ नाम मात्र भन्नु
Current deployment of Nepalese Army for park duty: Sivapuri Nagarjun National Park, Tokhal; Langtang National Park, Dunche; Chitwan National Park, Kashara; Chitwan National Park, Nawalparasi; Bardia National Park, Takundwara; Sukla Panta Wildlife Reserve, Mazhagaon; Parsa Wildlife Reserve, Adhabar; Koshi Tapu Wildlife Reserve, Kushaha; Khaptar National Park, Khaptar; Sefoksundo National Parks, Dolpa; Rara National Park, Rara; Sagarmatha National Park, Namche; Banke National Park, Banke; Sivapuri National Park, Sivapuri Nagarjun National Park, Nagarjun. Responsibilities of the Nepalese Army in nature conservation. The main responsibilities of the Nepalese Army through the conduct of various military operations is to protect the national parks and wildlife reserves from any illegal activities, that is illegal poaching of wild animals, reptiles and birds, deforestation and encroachment by illegally cutting and felling the timber and vegetation. It is also responsible to conserve endangered species of wild flora and fauna and their habitats, to preserve and maintain the ecosystem and wildlife habitat, and to strengthen transboundary biological corridor. It also provides support in conservation research by providing necessary manpower in counting wildlife census, providing necessary information regarding nature conservation, and supporting rehabilitation of wild species. With the aim of winning the hearts and minds of the people and generate their awareness towards nature conservation, the Nepalese Army has been supporting massive afforestation initiatives, promoting ecotourism, facilitating buffer zone for resources management, livelihood promotions, income generation, and community development activities, and in assisting health centers in buffer zones and within national parks and wildlife reserves. Nepalese Army is also involved in preparation and provision of trained manpower for the nature conservation, education, and training in buffer zones, national parks, and wildlife reserves. The Army, by virtue of location and organization, also assist victims during natural and man-made disasters. Recognized with international prestigious award, Abraham Conservation Award 2012 by WWF in recognition of the outstanding performance in conservation and sustainable development of Nepal. Certificate of Appreciation for Outstanding Performance in Conservation to celebrate Zero Poaching Year 2011. Tigers Alive initiative Protection Award for Excellence in Protection Efforts in Critical Tiger Landscape by WWF. Certificate to Appreciation for the Contribution in Anti-Poaching and Control of Smuggling by Ministry of Forest. Certificate of Appreciation awarded the Nepalese Army on the occasion of World Environment Day for outstanding contribution in nature conservation by R.T. Hone, President of Nepal. The Nepalese Army in Disaster Management. Nepal is highly vulnerable to natural disaster primarily due to our unique geoclimatic conditions, varied geography, rugged and steep topography, extreme weather events, and fragile geographical conditions. The country frequently suffers from disasters such as floods, landslide, glacial lake outbursts, soil erosion, thunderblown cold and hot waves, earthquakes, fire hazards, and epidemics. Furthermore, rapid population growth and development of haphazard and unplanned settlements increases Nepal's vulnerability to disasters. As per the United Nations report, a total of 64 out of 75 are districts are prone to disaster of some type. Our report by United Nations Development Program further indicates that Nepal ranks 30th in terms of water included hazards and 11th in terms of seismic vulnerability, considering mentioned the facts that Nepalese army has always given a high priority for disaster response and humanitarian assistance operations. The Nepalese army has been carrying out rescue and relief operation during disasters right from the very beginning as one of the leading agencies, especially during floods caused by monsoon rains every year. The government of Nepal viewed the Nepalese army as an inseparable agency in the field of disaster management, and constitutionally there is no restriction to mobilize the Army of Disaster Response and Humanitarian Assistance of Operations. Role of Nepalese Army in National Disaster Response Framework. In the National Disaster Response Framework, there is one lead and several assistance role identified for Nepalese Army. These are follows: lead role coordination of multinational bilateral military humanitarian assistance. Assisting role, providing assistance in the field of search and rescue, healthcare, assist in establishment of temporary shelters for immediate rehabilitation and affected people, open up important road communication to facilitate relief and response operation, firefighting, airport security, assist other security agencies to maintain law and order, assist in management and transport of relief materials, assist in dead body management. The Nepalese army in one of the first responders due to organizational and managerial effectiveness, immediate response, and emergency service capability due to its countrywide presence of organic air and mechanical transportation capabilities, and internal engineers, signals, and medical services. As per the Chief of Army Staff's command directive, the Nepalese Army has been focusing to enhance its response capability by organizing and actively participating in national, regional, and international disaster management seminars, workshops, tabletops exercise, field training exercise every year involving various stakeholders, particularly the military partners from the friendly foreign countries. The Nepalese army organized a regional seminar on disaster response and humanitarian operation from 3 to 5th April 2012 with the primary aim to build a better cooperation among military partners from South Asia region so as to enhance understanding and coordination that is required should the government of Nepal accept military humanitarian assistance from the regional neighbors. Similarly, the Nepalese army has also been co-hosting tabletop exercise and field training exercise with US military to understand the coordination mechanism and the process of response operation that is incoming militaries have to go through if they are deployed to assist the response operations in case of mega-scale disaster on the acceptance of foreign military humanitarian assistance by the government of Nepal. Having realized the importance of the Nepalese army's involvement in the field of disaster management, the Nepalese army has raised a dedicated disaster management directorate with dedicated unit under the directorate to carry out response operations. These units are under the process of being trained and equipped through the budget allocated to the Nepalese army and also with the assistance from friendly foreign countries.
वेलफेयर पनि जानु
Epilogue. It is often said that the history Epilogue. It is often said that the history of Nepal is largely the history of Nepalese army. Indeed, Nepal came into being and remained an independent nation on the collective blood and sacrifice of many generations of Nepalese warriors of all castes and creeds, and a political professional organization that served and continues to serve not just the motherland but also the international community and humanity at large. The Nepalese army is one institution that the people of Nepal have always been able to count upon, both in times of peace and war. From its inception, the Nepalese army is interwoven into the fabric of Nepalese society and always values its steadfast commitment to the people and national unity. Ever since its origin, as the farmed army of Gorkha that successfully thwarted colonization and invasion, the Nepalese army is striving to remain relevant and useful in the service of Nepal and Nepalese people, has been constantly transforming itself to meet the challenges of the future. Today, it is the last line of defense of democracy and provides the stable platform upon which a forward looking Nepal can flourish. In addition, it actively contributes to national development in environment protection and disaster response and relief. Finally, it is one of the most loved after force providers for United Nations peace support operations worldwide in consistence with foreign policy objectives. The publication has sought to bring forth the real Nepalese army to the reader, an inclusive army of professionals, warriors, citizens from all backgrounds and ethnicities serving in an institution whose future is inseparable from the future and well-being of Nepal.